Friends and loved ones are usually the first to notice that someone might be feeling lonely or isolated, but you can also recognize it in yourself. How? Nancy Anderson from AARP is back to talk more about that. Nancy, thanks again for your time.
Happy to be here.
We've learned ways to combat isolation, but how do you know if someone is feeling isolated or lonely? Are there some signs and red flags?
Yes. Frequently there will be tips and there will be clues. Maybe they start saying things like, I just never get out of here, I'm all by myself, I feel so lonely. You need to really listen to that and pick up on it and pay attention to their habits as well. Are they eating? Are they still doing the things that they've always enjoyed doing, or have they backed away from some of those things? Those are important clues.
Do these risk factors always lead to social isolation then, or?
Well, they don't always, but they certainly can. So it's incumbent on us to reach out to our loved ones and to really keep our finger on the pulse of their emotional health. I think that's an important issue.
That makes sense. If I'm hearing someone make these comments or noticing that they're withdrawing or not getting out of their home much, what can I do?
Well, you can reach out. You can say, hey, let's go for a drive today, or find ways to help them connect. Maybe suggest some technology options. Find out if there's something bothering them, if their health is taking a turn for the worse. It's really important to be a friend and to be a loved one and to help support someone who might be going through some difficulties.
So depending on what that person says, what would the next steps potentially be?
Well, you can get them connected to their local senior center. You can suggest that they volunteer, have them see their health professional to make sure there isn't something physically going on with them, and make some suggestions, reach out to them.
So what about if your loved one lives far away, not within the state you reside, and how can you help that person from a distance?
Well, technology is our friend, that's for sure. And between FaceTime and Skype, people can tag right into their loved ones and their families and friends far away. Also, Facebook and Twitter both are kind of different sorts of social media that help people to stay connected. Making phone calls, sending letters, talking to maybe a neighbor that you know is a friend, or reaching out even to the loved one's health professional and letting them know that you have some concerns. There's lots of ways that you can kind of help move them out of a slump a little bit and get back into the game.
What if there's someone out there watching right now, watching this show, who's realizing, you know, this is me. I feel isolated, I feel alone. What can they do?
Well, I'm really excited that AARP Foundation has a great website, and it's called Connect2Affect. Connect2Affect.org, and really it's just full of resources about isolation. There's a self-quiz you can take because you might not recognize it in yourself, but you go through that quiz and then it will offer tips on how to overcome the challenges that you're facing. There are also real people stories where they'll tell about how they became isolated or lonely and what they did to get back into the game. So it's a great resource. It'll also talk about, you can put in your zip code and find some local resources that would be available to you where you live.
That sounds wonderful. We've talked a little bit about the challenges of living in a rural area and trying to maintain social health, but can you provide any advice specifically for these folks?
Well, rural areas are really a different animal. People are far apart, distances are big, but technology hopefully can be a friend out there. There are a lot of rural areas in Montana where the internet isn't strong and they don't have good connection. But stay connected. There's lots of small community things that happen, and use technology when you can.
What about those folks who no longer have friends and family? They've outlived them or they're not in contact with them. How can they go about tapping into a new social circle perhaps?
Right. It's time to get back out there. You need to just pull yourself up by the bootstraps, and it's kind of hard sometimes and scary, but join a new group, stay in touch with your church, or find a new church that has a new social circle. Volunteer. I've been working with volunteers for a lot of years, and it's always amazed me. We'll have singles that come into our group, and pretty soon they're best friends and they're going to the movies together outside of their volunteer activities. So you really just have to put yourself out there and find ways to connect, find things that you're interested in and passionate about, and the friendships will come.
That's great advice. Are there any other tips or advice you'd like to give to folks out there who are feeling alone or isolated or unsure of what to do next?
Well, take a look at the resources on the Connect to Effect website. That should help. Think about opportunities in your community. Think about your loved ones, and don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help.
That is terrific. Anything else from your personal experience you'd like to share with us? I know on a previous conversation you mentioned your experiences, and maybe just if you could take that home for us and just let us know.
Right. You know, I moved away from my mother. She was here in Helena when I moved away, and she was in her home and was very lonely. And she really found comfort and social interaction by moving to a retirement community. She had lunch with folks, they played cards, they did puzzles, and it totally turned her outlook around. So I think that's always a good opportunity.
That is just great information. Well, I want to thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you.
I've learned a lot, and I'm sure our guests, our viewers have as well. So thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us this week. We hope to see you next week. Until then, stay fit, stay well, and stay healthy for life with Healthy Living for Life.
Healthy Living for Life is brought to you by Mountain Pacific Quality Health. We'd love to hear from you. If you have suggestions for future programs, visit our website at mpqhf.org or call us at 406-443-4020. You can also catch us on YouTube by visiting our website and clicking on the YouTube icon. Special thanks to Fire Tower Coffee House and Roasters. Production facilities provided by Video Express Productions.